Welcome back, children. We will continue with the managed floating. Now, in the previous class, we learned how the Reserve Bank of India is trying to increase the exchange rate. Now, we can see how the central bank is going to decrease the exchange rate. RBI wants to decrease the exchange rate from 67 to 66. So, in the last class we just saw how the Reserve Bank of India tried to increase the exchange rate from 67 to 68. Now, we are going to learn how RBI is going to decrease the exchange rate from 67 to 66. Now, you can just imagine for what purpose RBI is trying to decrease the exchange rate from 67 to 66. Definitely it is to favor the import. RBI will try to decrease the exchange rate to favor the import. That means previously if we were paying rupees 67 for $1 worth of good, now we need to give only rupees 66. So it is favorable for us because the money is flowing outside from us. That means outflow of foreign exchange. Indian currency is flowing out, outflow of foreign exchange. So for them, Indian currency is a foreign exchange. That is why it is explained as outflow of foreign exchange. So to get goods for rupees 66 as per Indian currency instead of rupees 67, RBI is playing this game. Here RBI is manipulating. So it is managing the floating system, floating exchange rate system. So as per the floating exchange rate system, if the exchange rate was fixed as 67 by the forces of demand and supply, RBI is trying to bring it back to rupees 66 so that it need to pay only less for the import. Now let us see how RBI is going to do that process. The same thing which I have explained with increasing the exchange rate. The same process will be explained here. Now when we explain here how RBI decreases the exchange rate. Increasing the exchange rate was the situation where RBI is buying the foreign exchange from the international market. So here it will be just opposite to it. RBI is going to sell the foreign exchange which it has with it. I told you RBI has got the foreign exchange with it. So whatever foreign exchange it has, it will try to sell it in the international market. So the first point I am going to write here is RBI will sell the foreign exchange. RBI will sell the foreign exchange it has. Now we can explain with the help of a diagram where we need to draw both the demand curve and the supply curve. I told you what is the significance of drawing the demand curve and supply curve, because exchange rate which is determined by the forces of demand and supply is 67. So for that we need to draw the demand curve and supply curve, and we need to show how it is decreasing to 66. So on the x-axis we will represent the demand and supply of foreign exchange, and on the y-axis we represent the rate of exchange. We draw the supply curve as upward sloping and the demand curve as downward sloping. Now the intersection point of demand and supply is the equilibrium point, and from the equilibrium point, if you draw to the y-axis, you will get the exchange rate fixed by the forces of demand and supply as rupees 67. Exchange rate is determined by the forces of demand and supply in the equilibrium point, and that rate of exchange is 67. Now the aim of the RBI is to bring down the 67 to 66 as per the Indian currency. That means $1 is equal to 66. That is the aim of the RBI, to favor the import. So as we will get the goods for rupees 66 per dollar, $1 instead of paying rupees 67. So for the purpose, the first thing that RBI is going to do is sell the foreign exchange it has. If it is selling the foreign exchange that it has, that means it is going to supply the foreign exchange in the market. So what will happen? If it sells more and more, definitely supply will increase. Increase in the supply of foreign exchange. Increase in the supply of foreign exchange. So supply of foreign exchange will increase. When the supply of foreign exchange increases, we can depict it in the diagram with the rightward shift of the supply curve, which we have already learned in class 11 regarding the shift of the supply curve. Increase in the supply curve has to be represented by the rightward shift of the supply curve. So this is the rightward shift of the supply curve, and the new supply curve is S1, S1. Initial equilibrium point is E. The initial supply curve is S. Here demand is not changing, demand is kept constant. Demand curve is constant throughout. What is changing? Supply, because RBI is selling. That process is taking place, right? Therefore, the supply curve will shift to the right. Now, when supply curve is shifting to the right, what can you find here? The new equilibrium point where demand and supply intersect is here. This is a new equilibrium point E1. From that equilibrium point, if I am drawing a line to the y-axis, I can see that from 67, the exchange rate is decreased to 66. So from 67, exchange rate has come down to 66. How? Again, we can go back to what we have learned. We can just recollect what we have learned for the demand situation. Okay, increase in the supply of foreign exchange rate can cause excess of supply. When there is excess of supply in the market, what happened to the rate of exchange? Rate of exchange will definitely come down, because when there is something excess in the market, price will definitely come down. Therefore, we can write the rate of exchange decreases due to excess supply. So, thus the RBI has brought down the exchange rate from 67 to 66. Thus, it has made the situation favorable for India. This is the role played by RBI to manage the floating exchange rate system. So, from 67, the rate of exchange has decreased to 66. How it has decreased? What is the main aim of RBI here? To bring down the exchange rate. For that purpose, it is selling the foreign exchange that it has. It is selling the foreign exchange that it has. By selling the foreign exchange, what will happen? It will increase the supply of foreign exchange in the market. How you depict the increase in the supply of foreign exchange in the foreign exchange market? How you depict the increase in supply? Through the rightward shift of the supply curve. When the supply curve is shifting to the rightward, what will happen? The new equilibrium point E1 is maintained, and therefore we can find the rate of exchange has come down from 67 to 66. How the rate of exchange has come down here? Because when the supply is excess in the market, what will happen? The rate of exchange decreases. Rate of exchange decreases due to excess supply. So we can say that the rate of exchange is increased to favor export and rate of exchange is decreased to favor import, and that is known as managed floating. The role of RBI in the foreign exchange market. So, when we learned about the money and banking, what is the role of RBI in the foreign exchange market? I told it maintains stability in the exchange rate system. I told you it will play a very important role in the foreign exchange market, and this is the explanation of that particular point. So I told you in the when I taught you the money and banking, this will be learned in a detailed manner in the foreign exchange market, and this is the topic. So thus the role played by RBI in the foreign exchange market is managed floating. So with this we have completed the 3 types of exchange rate as per your syllabus, that is fixed exchange rate system, flexible exchange rate system, and the managed floating. Now we are going to move on to the new topic, demand for foreign exchange. Demand. Now the topic demand, which you have learned in the class 11, you can recollect all those points you have learned with regard to demand. Now demand for foreign exchange. Now who is demanding the foreign exchange? Definitely it will be the domestic country who is demanding the foreign exchange, right? That is India. When we take our example, India is demanding dollars. India is demanding dollar. Dollar belongs to USA, right? Now, why do we demand foreign exchange? So, who is demanding the foreign exchange? Domestic country. When we speak about India, India is demanding the dollars, foreign exchange. Why do we demand? For what all purposes we need the foreign exchange? Why do we need the foreign exchange? Need for foreign exchange or sources of demand for foreign exchange. This can also be written as need for foreign exchange. Why do we need foreign exchange? Let us see the first point. For imports of goods and services. When we import goods and services from the rest of the world, we need to pay in the form of their currency. So definitely we need the foreign exchange. So the first demand is for importing the goods and services. Now, secondly, why do we need the foreign exchange? Why do we demand the foreign exchange? Indian citizens moving out as tourists. When we go to other countries to visit, we will stay in a hotel, then we would make purchases, travel expenses there, isn't it? So, we need to make the payment when we move out of the country to the rest of the world. We need to make the payment in the form of their currency. So, we need foreign exchange. Now, Indian students moving out for higher education in foreign countries or abroad, they need to pay in the form of the currency in the rest of the world. So, they are also in demand of the foreign exchange. Now, to make payment as unilateral transfers, I have told you what is unilateral transfer. It is a one-side payment. For example, India helping out the rest of the world when there is any natural disaster or natural calamity which is affected by the rest of the world. So, India has to give, India is going to help those countries by giving the payment in the form of unilateral transfer. It is a one-sided transaction. So, when India is helping them out, India has to make the payment in the form of their currency. So, we are in need of foreign currency or foreign exchange. So, demand for foreign exchange. Next one is to make investment in the foreign countries. If the business people want to make investments in the foreign countries, if they are going to start a new firm in the foreign country or in the rest of the world, they need foreign exchange. So, demand for the foreign exchange. There are different way in which we need the foreign exchange, but I have written only a few. There are endless numbers, the need of foreign exchange. For different purposes, we need foreign exchange. If you are going for a medical treatment, that is another point which you can add on to. We need to make the payment in the form of foreign exchange. Investing in the shareholders. So, all these are the points which you can relate to the demand for the foreign exchange. So, for all these purposes, we need demand. We need foreign exchange. It is how we demand the foreign exchange. Now, the next topic that we are going to learn is the relation between the demand for foreign exchange and price of the foreign exchange or rate of foreign exchange. Now, you can recollect what all points you have learned regarding the demand and price in class 11. This is a macroeconomics and the topic is foreign exchange, but you can relate to the topic that you have learned in class 11 regarding demand. concepts of demand. Now, the relation between the demand for foreign exchange and price of foreign exchange. What will be the relation between demand for foreign exchange and price of foreign exchange? We have drawn the demand curve as a downward sloping curve. Therefore, definitely the relation between demand for foreign exchange and the price of foreign exchange will be inverse relationship. That means, what is relationship? Inverse relationship, opposite direction. That is why we have drawn the demand for the foreign exchange as downward sloping curve. So, there exists an inverse relationship between demand for foreign exchange and price of foreign exchange. To be very clear, when the price of the foreign exchange increases, how to write? When the price of foreign exchange increases, demand for foreign exchange decreases. So, when the price of the foreign exchange increases, demand for foreign exchange decreases. So, similarly, when the price of foreign exchange decreases and vice versa. So, when the price of foreign exchange decreases, demand for foreign exchange increases. That is known as inverse relationship, just as you have learned regarding the demand concept in class 11. So, when the price of the foreign exchange increases, demand for foreign exchange decreases, and when the price of foreign exchange decreases, demand for foreign exchange increases. There exists an inverse relationship. Once again I stress, there is an inverse relationship. Now, we can prove this with the help of an example. I have drawn a demand curve over here. Now, the rate of exchanges are given as 60, then 50 and 70. So, these are the rates of exchange. 3 rates of exchange I have given, where $1 is equal to 50 rupees, $1 is equal to 60 rupees and $1 is equal to 70 rupees. Now, here the point of reference is 60. $1 is equal to 60 rupees. Point of reference, $1 is equal to 60 rupees. From that you can find, from rupees 60, dollar value is increasing to 70 as well as to 50. This is for a better understanding of the inverse relationship between demand for foreign exchange and price of foreign exchange. Now, I told you the point of reference is $1 is equal to 60 rupees. Now, if $1 is equal to 50 rupees, that means if the exchange rate has decreased to rupees 50, if the exchange rate is rupees 50 for $1, let us see what happens. It means previously India could buy $1 worth of good by paying rupees 60, but now we need to pay only rupees 50 for $1 worth of good. What you can find here? $1 is equal to rupees 60 is the point of reference. From that point of reference, as $1 is equal to rupees 60, the value of Indian currency as per $1 has decreased to rupees 50. That means demand. In the point of view of demand, we have to explain who is demanding. India is demanding the foreign exchange because India wants to import goods from USA. So, for that India wants to demand the dollar. So, India is importing. That you have to keep in mind. India is buying the goods from USA. Therefore, India need what? Dollar. India is demanding the foreign exchange. So, when we explain this particular point, we have to explain from the point of view of India. So, just to see the explanation once again. When the value of the dollar has decreased from rupees 60 to rupees 50 as per the Indian currency, it means that previously India could buy $1 worth of good by paying rupees 60. So India need to pay how many rupees for buying $1 worth of good previously? 60 rupees. But now they need to pay only 50 rupees. The value of Indian currency as per the dollar has come down. So now India has to give only rupees. Now India need to pay only rupees 50 for $1 worth of good. So it is profitable for India, right? So what happens? Demand for foreign exchange has increased. See that in the diagram, as the rate of exchange is rupees 60, the demand for foreign exchange is only 20. But when the price of the dollar has decreased from 60 to 50, the demand for the foreign exchange has increased to 30. Hence it is proved. Now let us see what happens if the rate of exchange has increased to rupees 70. If the exchange rate is increased to rupees 70, it means that previously, earlier India could buy $1 worth of good for rupees 60, but now India has to pay rupees 70 for $1 worth of good. Let us go back to the diagram. Now the value of the Indian currency has increased from rupees 60 to rupees 70. Previously, India could buy $1 worth of good by paying only rupees 60. But now India has to pay how many rupees? 70 rupees to pay by $1 worth of good. So import has become costlier for India. That is not appreciated by India. India is not favoring that situation, right? Therefore, what happens? As the rate of exchange has increased from 60 to 70, what happened to the demand for foreign exchange? Demand for foreign exchange has also decreased to 10. So when the rate of exchange is 60, demand is 20. When the rate of exchange decreases to 50, demand is increased to 30. When the rate of exchange increases from 60 to 70, the rate of the demand for foreign exchange has decreased to 10. So there exists an inverse relationship between demand for foreign exchange and price of foreign exchange. Now here, children, you will have a doubt with regard to whatever I have explained in managed floating. In managed floating, when the demand is increased, RBI will buy the foreign exchange in the international market, therefore demand will increase. Therefore, you have learned exchange rate will also increase. That may create a confusion for you. There is no matter of confusion here because there the concept is shifting the demand curve from the existing demand curve. A demand curve will be there in the market. From that, it is represented as a shift or a rightward shift of the demand curve. That concept is different and this is also different. That shows the shift of the demand curve. Therefore, due to the shift of the demand curve, new equilibrium point will be maintained and exchange rate will rise. That is a different concept. Here, we are explaining only about the single demand curve and the movement along the single demand curve. You have learned about both these situations in class 11, movement along and a shift. So take that point in your mind and try to understand the concept. So it will be clear to you. So here I am explaining not the shift in the demand curve, but I am explaining the movement taking place along the demand curve. That is why there is an inverse relationship. Once again I am repeating, there is an inverse relationship between price of foreign exchange and demand for foreign exchange. So once again I repeat, when the price of the foreign exchange has increased from 60 to 70, demand is only 10. But when the price of the foreign exchange has decreased from 60 to 50, the demand for foreign exchange has increased to 30. Hence there is an inverse relationship. Hope it is clear to you children. Thank you.